Welcome guys to a new tutorial. I like to show you this time the Blood Angels, and it's of course again a Space Marine because I have no other miniatures of the Space Marine so far. And now we're gonna start with a Prime miniature. It's Prime Black because I think it's gonna be the best result. So just move on with Mephiston Red and paint the whole miniature. Thin down the paint a bit, and after 2 coats it looks like this. The next step, when it's completely dry, use Carroburg Crimson to shade the whole miniature. As an option you can use a recessed shade, but I think it's not necessary here. After this, the miniature looks like this, so you see the paint flows into the cracks and recesses, and yeah, looks pretty nice, but still have to do something here, so we use Mephiston Red again. Just paint all these areas and leave out these cracks and the recesses, and yeah, leave a bit of this dark red we've built up so far. It will take some time to do this step here, but when you're slow and working slow here, you'll have a quite nice result there. So this is when we finish this step, and it looks pretty cool right now, but there's still some things to do. So next step is Abaddon Black. I just wanted to paint all these connector parts between the power armor, and be sure to work very slow and yeah, not to ruin some of these areas. We've painted before. It's easy to correct it, but it's not necessary to correct it, of course. And now it's done. So next step, we want to use a base again, which is Leadbelcher. Just paint all these parts you want to have in a metal tone. So I mainly painted all these exhaust parts and all of the rivets. As you can see now, I'll paint the rivets here. I think it's pretty cool to paint this in a silver tone, because you get some more contrast to the mini. You can also highlight it later on, but I think silver is quite nice. So for the Aquila I used Mechanicus Standard Grey. Quite easy to paint, but just try to keep the brush in this area, of course, not to paint over other parts on the mini. Dilute the paint a bit not to lose any detail. Now I will use white scar and I painted the eyes. After this step, I use Rakarth Flash to paint the purity seal here, the lower part, and the upper part. You have to use green tone just to make it more visible, because on every other color scheme it's red, and on the red color scheme you cannot see this, or it's hard to see. So I use Warpstone Glow to give it a coat here, and now it's time for a wash. Now we use Nuln-Oil to wash all the areas, like metal areas and the Aquila. I use the fine detail brush here mainly because these areas are very small and tiny areas, so you can shade the purity seal with Nuln-Oil as well, but I prefer to use Seraphim Sepia here. But if you don't have this shade, just use Nuln-Oil. I also do a recess shade here in some areas, as you see, which are not dark enough in my opinion. So this is what I said before, we use Seraphim Sepia to shade this little purity seal. Now I use Waywatcher green to shade the eyes, and maybe you need one or two coats here. I like to do this step because it looks pretty nice. And you can also use Warpstone Glow and Mood Green and white to do these eyes, but this is quite really easy, really nice step to do, so you don't paint on any other parts with green, and so it's quite easy and very fast. So now it's a very time consuming step here. It's even Sunz Scarlet I want to use on this mini, doing all the highlights which are necessary for this little space marine here. So with the evil Sunz Scarlet you can edge highlight nearly every area, because I've done a second highlight later on, and so just for the second highlight I focused more on the light, and here you can just nearly use it on every edge and corner you find here, but you have to work very slow again, because as I said before, it's very time consuming, and use a fine detail brush maybe, not a standard brush or something, so you don't want to ruin all this stuff we built up so far. And yeah, that's what I want to say. But it was really fun to paint this color scheme. And because it takes so much time, you'll have another relationship to this miniature if you're working very exact. This is what I like about the Warhammer or wargaming. Just when you're finished, you're very proud of the job you've done. So as you see, I painted nearly all of these corners, not the, yeah, all of the edges, sorry. And just because I cannot comment here on every step I've done while edge highlighting, just tell me what is your opinion about this so far. Give a comment, of course, and yeah, share it on every social network you like to be, like Facebook or Google Plus or something. Because this always helps a lot. So this was part 1, and part 2 is following. If you are gonna follow this little link to the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you on the next part, of course. And this was it for this time. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Bye bye.